Welcome to the Dale Elliott Podcast. I am your host, Dale Elliott, and I'm here with my friend, Mr. Oliver.
What's up, y'all? Oliver Lloyd.
Do you know Oliver is the most famous comedian from Jamaica? He's called Oliver Samuels.
I did not know that.
Yes. Pioneered everything that we are seeing here. From theater shows to plays to everything, Mr. Oliver Samuels. Big up Oliver. People, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Yeah. Mr. Oliver, we're back here, and some of your predictions were right.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah.
We went to
were
war.
right. Yeah. We had a conversation last week that, quite a bit of people enjoyed. We spoke about stocks. And ironically, just as you predicted, with the ups and downs between how the world works with the stock market, we are seeing where, now we're at war, and it is really turning out the same way how you predicted it.
Yeah, there's a lot of indicators, or really, if you follow the money and you follow what's running the world right now, I don't think it was that difficult to see, especially with Venezuela in the season of their oil and kind of taking over their production of oil.
Yeah, but so here's what I don't understand. Why is all of this taking place?
Well, in my opinion, which I think is kind of, it is easy to see if you look at what's been going on. I mean, oil's always been the backbone of the dollar. And that being said, or hasn't always been, but in our recent lifespan, oil has been what replaced gold as the backing of the dollar. That on top of that, the U.S. has always had this stronghold on the world because we consume so much. We have such a large market. Plus, after World War II, we were the only economy that wasn't affected by basically destruction through the war. So we basically became the buyers of a lot of things. And through that, we could not worry about tariffs, and we could do business on a high scale, cheap level. But since AI's been introduced and Trump's new doctrine in regards to how he wants to deal with the U.S., which he actually disclosed, and primarily what he's looking at is tariffs to increase revenue, as well as to deregulate and more so give tax cuts to make things cheaper. Really for whoever owns assets, like as we were talking about last time, being an owner and having assets, it's really what the country cares about at this time period and how it was founded as well. Weakening the U.S. dollar to make things cheaper, as well as using AI, which is the big thing, really, using AI to really offset the costs of doing business. And right now, the world major powers, which Trump dropped his doctrine, and he really kind of highlighted the two other major powers that he really recognizes is Russia, China, and just the U.S. And right now, everything that's going on is a secret war against their production and getting to that AI race before us, if I can summarize that. So
when you say AI race, what are they trying to accomplish? Because you say weakening the dollar strengthens the I was of the doctrine that the stronger the dollar is, the better it is for the people in the economy. So if you're saying to me that by weakening the US dollar, wouldn't that be inflation?
Well, in a sense, yes. But if you're offsetting that with growth, then it wouldn't be. And in general, I wouldn't say I'm an expert in regards to the economics that's going on right now, and some of it's a bit confusing.
We're not experts in it. We're just having a conversation to try to see what. I just don't understand what is going on, and from the common man perspective, I think it's very intriguing to even try. So
yeah, but a thing too, right? And a thing that also makes it a bit suspicious, on my end is the fact that, we were in a time period where all the major banks and stuff were like, anti-crypto. And now they're all making their own coins, their own stable coins. We're heavily invested into Bitcoin. Trump has Stargate, where he's working with OpenAI, really to create certain coins. XRP, we're looking at, based off of JP Morgan and other major banks, they're looking at making that kind of like the global currency, which should be alarming to some people. But that being said, as we've seen with crypto, and especially as we've seen with Bitcoin, it goes in the opposite direction of the US dollar.
Yeah.
And if people start benefiting from Bitcoin and putting a lot of money towards that, and on top of that, things have swung now where usually when markets are doing bad, the US dollar is doing bad, people put a lot of money into oil and gold and silver, and Bitcoin's now a new asset class that is more valuable since it's more scarce than other areas. Like there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin. We can keep mining gold. We can keep getting oil. We can keep getting silver, but there's a certain amount of that.
Yeah, but so for me, bro, I don't see the value in Bitcoin. I am just going to be honest and say, as a gambler, as a person who doesn't want to get left behind, that's the only reason why I would be interested in Bitcoin. But to me, I don't think Bitcoin is an asset. I don't see it as a resource. If I put something in it, it cannot give me back anything. I don't see it as land, because land, I can put a house on that land. I can dig a well. I can bury people there. It can give me food. Like the land, I can do so much things with land. So I understand that. Yeah. If it's a barter system where I can keep cows and sell cow, and you eat the cow and you get nutrition from whatever it is. I don't know what a Bitcoin look like. I can't see a physical Bitcoin or hold it in my hand.
That's true.
And it's so volatile that why should I believe that this crypto thing that is taking place is going to replace paper money and gold?
Well,
because you can make more Bitcoin.
You can't actually. You can mine more Bitcoin,
yeah,
but that's just getting more of what already exists.
Who made that? That's the Satoshi thing. What's the game of the guy?
No, not Minecraft. No,
man. The guy that mines Bitcoin.
There's a lot of people do it.
Yeah, but there's a guy, man, who created it, and he's disappeared now. Comments, tell me the name of this guy.
Apparently, legitimately, nobody actually really knows who made Bitcoin.
Yeah, but there's a guy now who's like missing. What's his name?
I'm not sure.
Have you never heard about like the missing Satoshi or whatever? I've never. I'm gonna find it. Who is the? I am sure I've heard like some stories about this man, Satoshi Nakamoto. Apparently he's this guy that's like missing. Satoshi. That's the person that created Bitcoin. Because, bro, I've looked it up, I just don't understand it.
We went through a quick phase in the US where we were doing all this blockchain stuff and selling NFTs. And it kind of was just the early phase of seeing what it's really about. But crypto, to be truly honest with you, it really is valuable. And it's valuable because it's not government regulated. There's no government that can inflate the price, change it around, or at least that we know of that can do that. But as of right now, if you don't hop into it now, you're going to be behind the curve where it's going to start getting taxed. It's going to start being regulated. And the crazy part is, all these major banks were against it. And then they started, making EFTs and things of that nature backed on Bitcoin and trading Bitcoin themselves, to the degree that I really think when the crypto bank crashed and things of that nature, that was people who are in finance who can't do some of the things that you can do in with cryptocurrency, like purposely mess up the price and things of that nature. They did that and crashed crypto just to make a profit. Right now, it's not regulated. So it's the Wild West. You can do anything. But at the same time, it's not something that requires regulation, because once you own it, you can carry all your Bitcoin on a flash drive. You can carry it on your computer.
How do I move my Bitcoin to a flash drive?
Well, there you can get a little vault. You can have a Bitcoin vault on a flash drive, and you can hold all your Bitcoin like digitally.
Because all I see is like you go on like Robinhood or Coinbase and you buy it there.
I personally, no offense to those companies, I do not trust them, especially Robinhood. During the GameStop run up, I was one of the people that was trading during that, and they shut down their market purposely to stop people like us from becoming millionaires through it. So I don't trust them. And also, if you read the fine print, they own your assets. It's not a real brokerage. And for people who were watching the first, it's not a real brokerage. They are an intermediary, a middleman. And that being said, I cannot trust them. And a real brokerage is Charles Schwab or TD Ameritrade, and those are the ones or Chase, and those are the ones you can go and get a loan on your stocks. Those are the ones that you can have leverage.
Oh, so if you have, say, if I have Robinhood and I have $30,000-$40,000 of stocks in Robinhood, I can't go and get a loan from it?
Not that I know of, no.
People, let's check. But you're probably right.
But at least from Robinhood, you can't.
Yeah, but you probably could get it off the ownership of it.
Yeah, but Robinhood also has the right to stop you from trading.
Yeah, because so for instance, when I had Robinhood
Coinbase,
is where,
by the way, Coinbase is solid. So.
Yeah, Robinhood is where I bought Shiba coin, and that's kind of where I made a big come up. And even I remember once, in my Coinbase account, I saw like 1 billion and something, and I couldn't touch it. But it was a glitch though, but I was trying. I tried everything in my, they would have had to catch me. Right? But that was a mistake. They made a mistake. It was an error, but I don't trust none of them. But that is why I feel like this crypto thing is so hard to track. But how do you correlate what is going on in the crypto market with what is going on with the wars right now? Because you say crypto is not attached to anything, but every time the US dollar fluctuates, crypto goes up or down.
Yes.
And I would see it's very influenced. I think it's too volatile because Elon Musk can come out tomorrow and say everybody buy Bitcoin. And then he's manipulating the market by doing that. Donald Trump can say, yo, everybody buy Doge or whatever, and it goes up and down. So if it is one of them people, can go up and say, yo, everybody sell everything, wouldn't it still be considered controllable? It's not safe.
Yeah, it's in a way, because it is the Wild West. It's controllable if you have enough resources or influence, but that's the same thing for the regular market in itself.
Not with gold.
Well, in regards to gold, in a way it is. And I only say that to say it because gold generally is the first thing people with money run to
when everything else
is going bad. And that's an indicator itself. If even the thought of things going bad is going to happen, you'll see people buying, or people that have bread and things buying gold in droves.
Which is why gold is the safest.
It's safe, but it's safe because it's reactionary to calamity. In the same sense, coins or Bitcoin is reactionary to the US dollar. It just works in opposite. And the more you realize that, the more then you can start predicting things, because then you just predict what's going on with the US or the US dollar, and you can have a better prediction of what's going to happen with Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, Bitcoin is down by like half. No. Bro, Bitcoin was at 127 or 125 in January.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's at like 65.
That's a good thing to me.
Yeah, it's a good thing, but I feel like, I don't know if that means even if you buy it now and it goes back to where it was, you've doubled your money.
See, the thing is, any sort of assets like that, in a sense, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because right now, we're down right now. I am down, but it's the war.
But even on the tip of the war, man, The war, in my opinion, is solely focused around AI and oil. And like the more people are aware of this, the more conscious they can be as to like where the world is going. Because right now, China, Russia, and America are in a battle for resources, and we're in a new space race, and the new space race is AI. And legitimately, the Russians, we've been seizing Russian tankers all over the Pacific quietly, which is also why some of these things have been going on in the news as distractions. And I want to say publicly, I am truly neutral when it comes to finances and when it comes to politics, in a sense, because I care I care more so about the truth. And the truth sometimes is not what's favorable to you.
True.
But it's the truth. But that being said, right now, in the time period that we are existing in, AI is probably the most valuable thing that we have, or the most focused on thing. It's almost like the .com boom that we're dealing with right now. The only difference is AI requires so much oil and so much resources. China's burning 10 million barrels of oil a day trying to build up their AI infrastructure. As for us, we have changed our game plan to using our own resources. We have changed our game plan to seizing oil from Venezuela, all to ensure that we have the means to keep pushing AI, keep producing it, and also the means to cut off our enemies. The attack in Nigeria, that wasn't pointless. Nigeria, Venezuela, and even now Iran, they are not pointless. All three of these nations were giving oil and selling oil to China, all three of them. And it's just so happened that we attacked all three. Venezuela was fueling Cuba, was fueling Russia and China. And as we see right now, Cuba is suffering. Matter of fact, they're in my opinion, they're in a global crisis right now. They don't have the means to even really have proper sanitation, in my opinion. And what I've seen, the Cubans are going through it right now. The Venezuelans, we seized their stuff. The Nigerians, we shook them up by attacking them. And now...
Explain that Nigerian thing, because it's the first time I hear about that.
Well, the Nigerian central bank was making deals with China to have access to Nigerian oil. And I know that the government says it was Boko Haram that we were dealing with in terrorism. Mm-hmm. It's not that. It's literally because the Chinese have been doing a certain type of imperialism that is more like a credit imperialism, especially in Africa. They'll build a stadium or two or whatnot and give people money they can't afford to give back or
that happens in Jamaica too. So yeah. It's like China would come, they would build a highway, they spread their influence all over, in trade for favors.
For favors.
Yeah.
And the favor they want is resources most of the time. And right now, people look at China in such an interesting way because it's such a big country and they think it's like it has so much access, but China has to go past 4 countries, Korea, the Philippines, Japan, and I would even say Malaysia as well, that all have American influence. They have to sail through these areas because most of China is landlocked, and the one that touches the sea is surrounded by ops, literally. Mm-hmm. So for real, they have to sail their ships through enemy territory in a sense outside of their own backyard, and then go up through through Malaysia just to get to where Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan and
so even
Iran
just to get oil, that's a trip.
It's a trip for them. It's a big. That's the thing, though. Oil is such a big deal for them right now because they're working so hard to win this AI race that, if ever, right now, what's going on with Iran being attacked, it's gonna cost them a lot. Matter of fact, if they can't get oil from Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, which controls 20% of the oil in the world,
didn't they close it?
They did close it, but
it's probably closed now.
It is closed right now, but that's the Iranians' way of defending themselves or creating or starving out the U.S. because the U.S. I mean, look at what the Iranians have done. They attacked all the U.S. bases in Saudi. They attacked all the U.S. bases really on the border, Kuwait, and all these areas. They attacked the British ones, the French ones. Their game right now, if they're trying to starve the Americans out of resources so that they have to go back and refuel, go back and get resources. They know they can't win a head-on battle, which is also why, you know, they're bombing Israel so much. They're bombing all these areas that are crucial to the point that the Saudi Arabians shut down one of their biggest oil refiners, which will affect everyone. But America is smart. They did not get into this conflict without first taking Venezuela's oil, which is the #1 oil producing country in the world, or has the largest oil reserves. They don't produce the most because they produce crude oil, but they have the most reserves of it. So every single thing that has been happening.
Oh, so that's strategic. So
it was strategic.
So basically, you're saying that America wouldn't go to Venezuela now. They did it before, so that they have like a backup. Like
They have a backup.
So if they try to block us from getting the oil there, we have this from
Exactly.
here. Smart.
This everybody in this game right now. It's not a game, but everyone, all the key players are winning in some way or some form. And the Saudi Arabians are heavily invested in U.S. AI. They're invested in both of the two competing companies that just recently went head to head with the Pentagon for who will give them their AI to first monitor Americans and two, put AI into weapon systems. And matter of fact, right after OpenAI decided to take the deal and Anthropic, the other company, decided it wouldn't do it, the Pentagon banned them, and OpenAI helped the Pentagon. The next day, 6 hours later, America attacked Iran. Literally 6 hours later. They just wanted to get their AI, their oil. Then they said, we're going right into it. We have all the things we need now. We can starve them.
So what is this AI thing? When people say AI, to me, bro, AI for me is ChatGPT. You know, I just ChatGPT, Grok. You know, what branches of AI are these governments so interested in? Why it's this big 3-horse race to, like, what is the end goal? What are they trying to get?
The end goal, AI can reduce unnecessary tasks. So if we just think of at high level, AI can help the economy by making it cheaper to do things, and which in a way is cheaper because certain people won't be necessary anymore, if we're being completely honest. Secondly, as well, as we've seen in the Ukrainian war with Russia, the Russians had AI in their drones, the Ukrainians didn't. The Russian drones were more effective. And that being said, we are in a place now where AI is so needed in order to, AI connects information together, and AI is artificial intelligence, so it can learn and it can continue to learn based off the pool of information that it has, which is why even now all major IT companies are looking for people who are masters at warehousing, data warehousing, because the more data you have, the more information you have stockpiled, the more useful and dangerous AI can be, which is why, I mean, Palantir is one of the biggest companies trading right now and has well over $50 billion in government funding. And they get all this money because Palantir was created by a CIA agent, and it houses financial information, travel information, communication information. All it needed was a brain, an AI brain, to make it useful, to be able to think with all this information, connect the dots, pinpoint where the opposition is. It's not a coincidence we killed both the Ayatollahs.
Both of them?
Man, yeah. Ayatollah Khomeini, he's been ruling for years.
Yeah,
Now,
he's the first one. So there's another one that died right after?
they hired this man. He had the job for 6 hours.
All right,
I'm not even trying to laugh.
We're not even gonna laugh, but so Ayatollah for 6.
6 hours, he was assassinated in 6 hours of getting the job. Ayatollah, what's his name? Gaddafi.
That was
Ayatollah
quick.
Gaddafi. They killed him within 6 hours. America's not effing around, especially with having AI, and also, like, I don't think like people are grasping what it means to have OpenAI and Palantir connected together. Like Trump passed a bill recently to increase government like observation of us. So now we have cameras everywhere that can now be connected with AI and can have facial recognition and can determine when you're going to do a crime before you do a crime, or can discriminate based off of data. You know what I'm saying? Or can track you. And I mean, already in DC, if people who live in DC know, they use this already when it comes to traffic lights. If you speed past one light, all the rest of the lights moving forward will go red. You cannot even speed in DC, low key. You cannot. And all the ticket systems are cameras that will catch you.
I know that.
That's going to be the whole US.
So how does one prepare themselves for this? Like, if I am just a man, I am working, coming home, why does this affect me? What this just seem like a bunch of people just fighting for something, and as me being just a part of the economy. Like, look at it this way. Can you imagine I am going to school, I go to school, I get my degree, everybody tell me they'll be a lawyer, be an accountant, or be a doctor, be a financial advisor, and then you telling me I get my degree and I'm out now, and this thing just make my whole degree obsolete? You're telling me I've been learning to balance books and profit and loss statements and all that just done? That mean nothing now?
And no, but yes at the and it's primarily because in my observation and what I've seen also in the IT space, there are a lot of areas that we don't know where AI is necessary and where it's not. And right now we're in a gray area where, people are investing in AI and getting rid of people and trying to see how it looks, what happens. I think the future is going to look like everyone using AI in some degree. And even right now, like, people are just using ChatGPT, whereas the people who really know technology are using AI to develop whole applications in one day, or using AI to pinpoint where a drone should fly itself. We have literal jet fighters that use AI now, jets that fly themselves and use AI.
It's crazy. Look at this podcast here. The switcher that I'm using right now, it's AI.
Yeah.
Normally there's a person would be switching, but guess what? I don't think it's always as good as a normal person.
It's not.
Some of the time it would be on me. When you're speaking, it don't move as fast, but it's efficient. It render that job somewhat obsolete. But I think that's scary.
It is.
I see this thing where it was saying that although they say the horse industry, so mankind depended on horses for years. We used horses as transportation for years. And when the car came about, a horse became obsolete within 20 years. It's like there was whole industries created on horses, horseshoes. Like how we have mechanics, they're probably horse mechanics. That whole industry. And then cars came and nobody gave a shit about horses. And then if you want to ride the horses, you go to a track. I see something where somebody's saying that is what is going to happen to humans with self-driving cars. Because I'm realizing that millennials, we don't like self-driving cars.
No.
But a child that's coming up now, 18, 19, like, remember what it used to feel like with driving a stick shift?
Yeah.
Like a manual car?
Yeah.
Manual car used to be fun. No. There's a group of people, Gen Z, have no idea what manual is. They don't want to see that. No, we're taking Waymos.
Which is crazy.
That just carry us places. So all of this, it's going to become like a gasoline car, or not gasoline, but a self-driving car is going to become like the thing. And we're going to be like, those people that like to use like classic, oh, I want to drive my car.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go to a track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we're
true.
going to have to go to a track, just like how people go to the track to watch horses race. That's what we're going to have to do with when you want to drive a car. They're going to be like, oh, if you want, go, take it to the track.
It's true. It's true. Or in general, there's probably just gonna, that time is coming when they start making more and more regulations about cars.
Mm-hmm.
They start making it tight to be an individual who drives a car, but it's just the reality of things, man. Times change, things move around. I mean, someone could have said the same things in the 90s when it comes to fax machines.
Mm-hmm. Cellular phones. Like 10 years ago was the first time I saw a Tesla. And it was when I came to LA 10 years ago.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. No, 10 years ago was 2016. Tesla was like a new thing. I feel like Teslas came out in like 2016 or 2015.
I don't know.
But when I saw Teslas, it was fairly new. Now, 10 years removed from that, look how far Tesla.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Like no, I am comfortable with seeing one, So to see how things change, and I feel like probably one of the reasons why a lot of these oil industries are making sure to be a part of the change is to secure their position of wealth.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And in my opinion, that's actually the main, that's why the Saudis are investing so much into AI. So much. They're backing both sides, because when we eventually get to the position where, we don't need fossil fuels as much, they will still have the next era in their back pocket. Like, AI is still new, it's still young, it's still fresh. Mm-hmm. And regardless of the fact that all these AI stocks and things of that nature are evaluating themselves hundreds of years into the future, they are still going to be profitable, and it's still going to be very useful. We're just getting to a day and age where we're fully starting to understand it, and in between, there's always going to be transitions. But you'll start to realize how far it's gone when people start lobbying and it gets political. Like, humans first, AI second. Like, I'm telling you, I'm predicting that's going to be a thing. That is going to be an issue for politics.
Bro, why is it that I feel like I am living in iRobot? You remember that movie?
We are though.
We are living in iRobot.
But I had this conversation literally last night about Hollywood, man. And the fact that not a lot of people know that the government sees Hollywood as an asset.
Oh, they invest in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
CIA, they all invest in Hollywood.
But that's why when I see something in a sci-fi movie now, from a enlightened perspective, I don't look at it as just like, oh, the future, whatever. I'm like, they are sending us a message about what is to come and trying to get us comfortable with it first.
Like Matrix. That's crazy. Like watching Matrix now, Matrix doesn't seem outside of the box now.
No.
Matrix doesn't seem like that. iRobot seems completely normal. White House down. Like, all these, like...
Matrix, metaverse.
Yeah.
Literally. It doesn't seem abnormal at all.
Like, okay, now you're giving me a glasses and I can now have a camera in that glasses.
It's crazy. So most of the things now, even the fact that it's like, I got a drone probably 3.5 years ago, and I fly it around my neighborhood and stuff and whatnot. But after I started seeing the recordings of people killing each other with drones in Ukraine, I haven't flown it since. It just doesn't feel the same no more.
Flying your drones?
Yeah, it don't feel the same no more. I feel like it feels like a weapon now. It doesn't feel the same no more. It really don't. I know maybe, and I'm not even that existential or emotional in a sense, but after seeing people get killed by it, it don't feel the same.
Bro, you're right, because look at it now. So you're telling me that mankind have been using soldiers for forever, and soldiers are always the ones operating the machines and the this and the that. Now you're telling me that pretty soon a pilot, like if you're a person in the Air Force, pretty soon there'll be AI flying those planes.
Yeah.
There'll be AI. That ship captain is going to be AI.
Yeah.
Like those tanks are going to be AI tanks.
Pretty soon it'll be video games. It'll just be like real life video games that can have
people controlling these tanks.
Exactly, or controlling these anatomic personnel. Like right now, a new tech that just recently dropped is this headset that you use on your eyes and things of that nature, and it uses AI to take what everyone else is seeing and show you in a way. So you have a personnel going behind a wall. What they see, if they see an enemy, the enemy will be in red. You can see through the wall. You can see where your friend is at. Night vision, day vision, and it's just like Call of Duty. And I think we're going to get to a point in time where it's not even going to be human beings out there fighting. We'll send robots. They'll be fighting each other. And the worst case scenario is the enemy wins so much they start coming to where the humans are actually at. Then you're kind of effed up.
But what I don't like is what if we created so much that it's now equal to us? What if people are now like fighting for like, what if like transgender robots and robots' lives matter? What if we get to that point? AI lives matter. What if we get to AI lives matter?
We most likely will. Because the crazy part is like right now, if you are an individual who are a forward investor, AI is now, biotech is next. And I listened to a professor a Brazilian professor talking about the fact that technology is no longer just going to be a tool that is like external. Like technology will distinguish the haves and the haves not, in the sense where we're getting to a point where people will genetically alter their children not to have diseases if they have the money for it. And you can right now, actually. People will ensure the height, the skin color, the hair color of their children, and you can. We're at the position where you can.
Yeah, because people can have like surrogates now and stem cell research
but not gene altering. Like literally altering your children's gene to make sure they don't have Down syndrome, that they don't catch diabetes, don't have the cancer gene. We're already in a position where you can do that. Now imagine, right? You have enough resources where you can get stem cells every day. We remove your heart and we put a robotic heart there that can last 100 years. We remove your liver.
Change your kidney.
Change your kidney. Now people that have will live longer. They will be genetically faster, genetically stronger. Like we're getting we're gonna go to a point where it will be, semi-human, semi-robotic people that are the ruling class. And it's crazy because even like the whole system of how the world works, Plato talks about it in the sense where it's like there's different stages of how humanity goes, and it goes in a circle. And it starts with, matter of fact, I think I wrote it down. It starts with aristocracy. And aristocracy, and I know it all plays together though, because we're getting to a place right now where we're going backwards. We're going to go back to the aristocracy. But aristocracy is where the individuals who have the most knowledge about the world, and think in the old Roman days, where the philosophers were the leaders and things of that nature.
Yeah, the smart people.
The smart people. Then people, get intimidated by that. They move down to democracy, which is one based off of pride. It's one based off of honor. So now you're putting your life at risk. Those who are
These
strong
are like
enough.
martyrs and people.
Yeah, knights. Those who are strong enough to fight for something are now the powerful. Then we move on to an oligarchy where it's about money and wealth. We've experienced this already. And the
We're still kind of here. We're still there.
See, I think we're really in the next phase, which is democracy. And that's because democracy is when people get tired of the rich and they get envious and annoyed with it. And now everybody wants to have their own. Everyone wants to be free.
So you can choose.
You can choose anything. You can choose to be whatever color you want. You could call me a dog. You could call me they, him. You can call me whatever you want. Ain't nothing. Matter of fact, I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying that there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying in general, it's not the system that the world had before. Now it's a system of everyone can have what they want. You can even see it in TV. There's shows for every type of person, every type of individual. We don't have right and wrong in anything. It's more so just human preferences. And granted, I don't think I'm in a position to decide what's right or wrong either.
Nobody is.
Then we move to tyranny, which is the next phase we're truly getting into. And tyranny is when people are so tired of being in control of their own lives that they will give up their own personal freedoms because somebody else can give them order and peace of mind. And we are seeing that happen slowly here in the U.S. and here abroad. Matter of fact, all the major powers in the world right now are in that position where people are rendering more and more of personal control to a leader. And that being said, it's a human cycle. After that, it goes right back up to aristocracy. And the aristocracy of the next day and age may be people that are semi-immortal, can never die, in a sense, have organs that can never fail.
This is some real conspiracy shit.
I don't even think it's conspiracy. It's the truth, though. It really is the truth of where we're going to until there's a giant reset, you know? Like, in our day and age, man, it took 9,000 years for human beings to go from just being hunter and gatherers to farmers. The Industrial Revolution took 100 years. The technological revolution that we've been in with the computer and things of that nature took like 20 years. AI will be faster. It will happen quicker. The genetic revolution will happen quicker than that. In our lifetime, we are probably the most adaptive human beings to ever exist.
Yeah, because we've probably been through, I feel like if you're a millennial, you've seen every change and you're still young.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Like you've seen everything and still young. It's crazy.
That's why we feel so old. We've seen it all. We've seen terrorism. We've seen Michael Jackson. We've seen a black president. We've seen a woman vice president. We've seen it. What haven't we seen? What can you show me right now that's new to me?
Yeah, as a millennial, I've seen everything. I've seen, Michael Jackson. I've seen a man turn into a woman. I've seen
two of the greatest basketball players, two of the greatest soccer players of all time, the greatest swimmer, the greatest tennis player,
the greatest track and field athlete.
Literally. Shout out to Usain, the GOAT.
Yeah, we've seen everything. We've seen coups, we've seen wars, we've seen pandemics. The rise and fall are so much things, and I don't think it's finished yet.
And we've seen our president, both of them, come on live TV and tell us they're aliens.
I've seen a black president and a white president.
Yeah.
I forget
well,
that.
one of them is not abnormal.
Yeah, seen a black president, you know?
Yeah.
In my lifetime, which was a long time ago. I was a child. When that took place, that was 2008. I was damn near 10 years old.
Was it 2008? I went to Obama's inauguration.
See, 2000. Remember, he won 2008 and then 2012.
Damn. So it was 2000. It was 2008.
I was 10 years old. That's how much time is flying.
I know. It's crazy.
The fact that I feel like I was an adult when that was happening,
me too,
is crazy.
Literally. It really is. It's insane. We've even seen school books change so drastically. What they talk about in school is just so different. Matter of fact, at a point in time, we all liked Christopher Columbus. He had a holiday.
Yeah, not even that. A matter of fact, I was never. When was the last time you've checked a child's bag? You know they don't have books. You know they have like tablets now.
That's so true.
I used to. We had books in our bags.
Towing that.
Yeah,
joint.
I was going to school with books. No, it's like tablets and like just think about. Let this sink in. If you started college between 2020 to 2023, you probably did all your exams online.
which is crazy.
I'm not sold on that, but majority of your schooling was online.
They don't even have chalkboards no more.
I've never seen in American school before, but so many things changed in this short period of time.
And it's going to change even more, man. In our lifetime, we're probably going to experience space tourism on a whole new level. And it's really nuts because it's like the individuals who are pushing this day and age, it's, in my opinion, it's a major factor of just positioning and timing, because it was inevitable for some of these things to happen. It's just happening when we're alive.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I wish to live long enough to be at the time period where, you know, I see they cure cancer. Matter of fact, they probably already did, but you know how it goes. I feel like
they already did that. They cured cancer. I think even like some STDs.
Yeah.
Like AIDS and stuff. You see now people can. I remember when I was younger, we used to be like, yo, if you ever had that, you're done.
Of course.
You're done. Now they're like, oh, I can take this pill and I'm not transmittable. I'm like, yo, I'm seeing this thing happen in real time.
I know. It's really crazy. We've had to be, there's a topic or something called neuroelasticity. And it's when your brain grows new receptors. Because, your brain can grow. People had this concept back in the day, if you smoke weed, you're killing your brain cells. You can grow new brain cells. And that being said, we're in a day and age where I feel like the ability to constantly grow our brain is like so much more evident. And actually, I think that's why there's so much high levels of depression, anxiety, and things of that nature, because people are experiencing a world that like hasn't existed before and constantly is being rewritten. It's hard to keep up. I mean, just being a grown man, you can sit down and look on the internet and there's like a 5-year-old, 10-year-old making millions from, throwing bananas on a wall. You know what I'm saying? And that'll change your whole life perspective.
but you know what's funny though? I would look at it as the boomers are still in control of everything though.
They are.
And I think they are benefiting from this the most, even though they are not really as hip to technology, because Mark Zuckerberg is not a boomer.
No.
Or I wouldn't say Elon Musk is a boomer either.
He's not.
But Bill Gates is definitely a boomer. What's the guy from Amazon?
Dang, I just forgot his name completely.
Jeff Bezos. He probably is a boomer. Let's think about maybe the 20 richest men in the world. Maybe 12, 13 of them are boomers. Majority of the people that own land right now are boomers. They bought land for damn near $5,000. Now that thing is probably $5 million. And they're still sitting on it.
That's why we're going to see one of the greatest wealth transfers of human history.
I really believe that the boomers now, with what is happening, they stand to benefit the most because they own the most. And I think the time that they grew up in, I feel like on their way out, they will try to replicate that. Which is why we see they're so quick to, go to war, and because that's kind of what they grew up in. We're not, the last thing we want to do is go fight somebody else.
It's true.
The people in power right now are the people that saw war. Like if you look, the world leaders, they can probably tell you that, when I was 18, I saw my brother came back from Vietnam or from, they know it because they've experienced it. So I still think they have that way of thinking, and now on their way out, they're trying to do it again. Clearly.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, Russia. We can look at Russia. Putin. He's trying to bring back the USSR. Trump, make America great again. China, make China great.
One China policy.
One China policy. You know, like I mean, even Japan's very, very conservative right now. They like their leader because she's like has like a Trump type of mentality. Macron. I mean, he's young, but I wouldn't say anything he's done in Africa demonstrates any forward thinking. I think he's very imperialistic, and I mean, I would say shame on France when it comes to how they've really been behaving in Africa.
But I think from what I'm seeing though, it looks like they're like losing influence and they're doing anything to like to me, France is like the modern day Portugal. You remember how Portugal like was like, hey, you guys take everything. I got Brazil, I'm good. That was Portugal. I got Brazil, I'm good. I feel like with everything what is going on in the world right now, France is like, hey, I got Africa.
No, for real. But
I'm good. I don't need nothing else.
My thing is like, people like you, France. Let me talk to France real fast. Let me talk to France. People like y'all. We love French. Y'all, the French people, y'all have given a lot to the world. And in general, I don't even think it's the French people who are doing this. I think it's the old guard of the French that are, you know, they are trying to hold on to influence. But the truth of the matter is, Europe is not the same Europe it was before, and it will not be the same Europe it was. And in general, the world is changing, is growing, and y'all have to adapt. Like, y'all truly do. But I understand it's difficult, primarily because, you know, resources is harsh, and especially with oil now, you know, and especially with the U.S., you know, ramping up and getting bigger in regards to its influence over the Americas, I can understand. But that being said, though, gotta figure it out. Look at Japan. You know, the Japanese, they're an island, but they have one of the largest economies in the world, you know, and who they be messing with? I mean, granted, in World War II, I'm not talking about that, but modern day, come on, you know what I'm saying? The Japanese have not tried to be imperialistic ever since we took their military away, and they've been doing far better, in my opinion, monetarily.
Germany don't give a shit either.
Yeah, but see, the Germans, they're solid, but also I just wouldn't mess with the Germans. They too efficient. I don't want to wake up that sleeping giant. You know what I'm saying? The Germans, they're too efficient. And that being said, I like the Germans. You know, hopefully they don't get in a position where really where we're seeing they were in the past and where we're seeing America go in a weird way.
But the funny thing is, I would say the Industrial Revolution, like when cars and with engineering, and I'd say the Germans were really ahead of their time where engineering is concerned. Now that we are seeing this AI resurgence, what is that going to do with the automobile industry, with the Germans and their technological advancements and stuff like that? Because the backbone of the German economy is probably cars or engineering.
It is.
So won't they try to position themselves to benefit from it as well?
Yes. But also, as you were pointing out though, right? I think mastery isn't what AI is made. Like it's not what it's used the best for, in my opinion. Because there's a reason why, you know, if you commit your entire life to a craft, you're gonna do it far better than a AI tool. Excuse me. And I mean, I don't think America building up its AI, knocking down the cartel to increase their influence in regards to their second industrial hub, which is Mexico, is ever gonna make them have better quality than a nation that their backbone and their lifestyle is this. Like, I think German cars will always be useful. I mean, there's a reason why, I mean, just in general, the U.S. has such production power, but we don't make better cars than them. That's what they do, you know? Like, that's just what they do. Human beings will always be great at what they put their lifeblood into and what they commit themselves to.
I'd say what would you say is like America's number one manufacturing, like what can America create better than everybody else? I'd say
Ideas
weapons.
and weapons. Yeah.
I'd say weapons.
I mean, for me, it's like philosophical, but I think the ideas and creativity America has in droves. I mean, in general, our influence over the world comes first from like social media and entertainment. People want to be Americans. They think it's cool.
Imperialism.
Yeah. But it's imperialism of the mind in a sense. And I'm not saying that America is cooler than any other place or what have you. I've just noticed that as like the world has become more globalized, everywhere you go and you travel to that like houses tourists or whatnot, it just seems like everywhere's getting closer and closer to being like America, which I wish everyone would stay them.
Yeah,
it's so much cooler.
When you go to Europe, you don't feel that though. And I think that Americans, when you live in America, I think there's a misconception that the world revolves around America. Mm-hmm. And when you travel outside of America, you realize that it's not like that. So you see like the mind frame that you have right now. If I should take you, and have you ever been to London?
No.
Where in Europe have you ever been?
I haven't traveled to Europe. All my travels have been South America and the islands.
The moment you go to Europe, you're going to realize that Europe influenced America. America don't influence Europe. So when you go to Europe, when you go to London, you're going to be seeing New York. Sure. Like England built here. Is America never built England.
Yeah.
So when you go to England and you see the same brick houses, the streets, you see that. That's British. When you see the Italians here, you go to Italy, same way it looks. America, why I think America is so great is that America has taken a piece
of everything.
Have you ever been to Mexico?
Yeah.
This is California. We model them. Them never model we. When you go to Miami and you see how Miami is set up, not the nice pretty buildings, but like Little Havana. These are
Cuba.
America has, Little Haiti, there's a Little Armenia. I think why America is so great is because I think America is an amalgamation of all countries.
Yes.
Immigration is why here is seen so great. The biggest difference between America and places that I've been over the world is efficiency. So for instance, you go to the airport, in the UK, it's a lot more laid back. People don't really rush in the UK. A weekend is a weekend. In America, you don't even know the days of the week.
It's true.
Everything is just moving. You go to Germany, people Friday, it's a weekend. You see people outside, they're drinking beers, they're going out. You can, if you have a job or you get fired or quit your job, you get paid 60% of your money for a certain amount of time. The health is free. Europe has managed they've been in control for so long that they can afford to have their citizens live a certain lifestyle for years because they've been in control for so long. So
that's about to change though.
Yeah, but
it's changing.
Not to the point of America has its own identity, and the identity that America have is ever evolving and to trying to be more efficient and being this bully. And I think the France, Portugal, Spain, Germany, England, those people, they shaped the world. America is living in a world that they shaped. If I go to Jamaica right now, it looks like England. When you go to Brazil, that's how Portugal looks. When you go to there is a print. There's like a print of like everywhere where there was influence. That's exactly how it looked. That's why Louisiana have so much French influence, because the French owned it.
It's true.
So when you go to Africa, a lot of those buildings that you see and stuff is English influence. So they've managed to shape the world into what it is now. And America is either trying to restructure that world or just spruce it up to make it be more efficient. Because you live in Europe, you don't have to work that hard, bro. You don't need them big salaries. You don't need a big salary. Like, you can live decent in Europe. They tax a lot more. Like, we live here and we think we get taxed a lot. You think brother, go to Canada and you see what tax really is. Like, go to England and you understand that more than half of your money just gone. You see, so we will complain and say, oh, we don't have the free health care. All right, give me half of your paycheck every month then. Because that is what it's costing.
I'm good.
That is what it is costing people elsewhere. Free healthcare and free education. And those people can afford to do that because they've created this big network of just taking shit from people for so long.
Imperialism.
Yeah, that them Gucci now. Bro, Europe is the most laid back place ever,
But I'm telling you, man, it's gonna change soon for them. It has been changing. They've been going through some economic crises.
Yeah, but
I'm surprised they survived last winter, or not survived in the sense. But I'm saying, like, I'm surprised there hasn't been more issues because they're having a real problem when it comes to resources.
There is going to be issues, but to a certain point. Just like what you said with influence. Just look at it this way: London, England, France. England, France, Spain, Portugal, Germany, Russia. Like, these were like some of the first recognized. These are the oldest countries in the world, America is 92? 70, what was it? 1772 or 92? One of them. Yeah, 1792 or 72. America just come. Like, you think UK right now worried about America when we taught you the language that you speak. You're my cousin. like the Rothschilds, them American, but them not like, think about it. Think about the influence that Europe have. Americans are just Europeans. They're just Europeans that fought because they didn't want to pay taxes.
And escape religious persecution.
Escape religious persecution and still brought Christianity here. And still did the most European thing possible. Raped, pillaged, and got out everybody that was here and take over the land for itself. Brother, America was only like here. And America head west till them say water. And kill and conquer you know how much.
And called it manifest destiny.
And exactly. And the last one, all of these countries abolished slavery before America. All of them. So it's just efficiency. What I can give America props for is how efficient they've worked. And like what you said, America had the luxury of to be surrounded by 2 large bodies of water.
Yeah.
And that is a big plus to have. Because in wars, no, even that them capturing Venezuela, I don't need to go all the way if I need oil. I just go down the street.
Literally.
Like, I can drive from America to Venezuela. You know that? Like, I can drive. It's a long drive. But if we drive out right now, we can make that drive. And we don't know what is in the Amazon rainforest that we can benefit from. And one day somebody will decide to explore that, because there has to be untold riches of minerals and gold in that rainforest. Because that rainforest is damn near most of South America. And we don't look on it.
Yeah.
We just know that it's there. And we just leave it alone.
We wait till other countries find their own resources and then we'll come.
And then we take that. Bro, I wish European travel on you. And then you will realize how small America is to like, you go to Germany, highways. That's German. Cars, that's German. Brick buildings, that's British. The way how the streets set up, stuff like that. All these street names and La Cienega and Los Angeles, and that's damn near Spanish. We never create that. American. What is American culture?
Well, that one we divide. We created ourselves.
Yeah. If like we don't, what is American culture is. We can't say it's hamburger. We can't say a hot dog. You can't call it. You can't say a fried chicken. Like,
it's a mixture of everything.
American culture is everything put together.
Yeah.
Everybody basically come here and add to it, which is why the greatest now. I think the reason why Europe kind of take a backseat is just like the Industrial Revolution, where it became unprofitable. Like, I really believe that slavery is a terrible thing, and there were real people out there that were lobbying for slavery to be abolished with a good heart.
Of course.
But that shit is like the AI right now, where there were lobbyists for the Industrial Revolution, which is like, yo, we have the steam mill, we have the power loom. Like, why? It's more expensive to maintain, buy my machine. So people was like, yo, get rid of slaves because it inhumane and it bad. And use these machines because this make the work easier.
It still requires people though.
Yeah, but it did make the work easier.
Yeah,
so that was just the replacement. So it became not as profitable to have slaves. Like, think about the triangular trade. To trade slaves back then, with first you have to have the slave, you have them on the ship. Now the if you left with 400 slaves from Africa, you know, it's probably 100 going to make it, you know.
Yeah, it's a sad reality.
And your ship might sink. And everybody die. So
you have to get it insured.
And then they might make they profit from the insurance. So just think about the risk that it is. And then that shit became so expensive that they were like, hey, let me just breed the slaves. Because they abolished the slave trade before slavery was abolished. Because you couldn't, after a while, I think the slave trade was abolished for England in 1807. Which means after 1807, they're like, yo, you cannot trade slaves anymore, which means you can't take no slave from Africa to the Caribbean. We abolished that wing. And then the guys were like, all right, then this is what we're going to do. We're going to have breeders. And then now we start breed our own slaves. But the slave trade was abolished because insurance companies is like, how much we're going to pay out, so? Every time?
It was all about money.
That's how they figure out. Oh, hurricane season. That's how you think we find out how hurricane season was. Hurricane season was, damn, all right. If every time we try to take them between this time and this time, the ships don't make it, we're going to not travel between this time. Hurricane season is from like, I think it's June to like November. You don't want to be on the seas going from West Africa to that little part. That's where hurricanes develop, you know. And they come over and go up. That same is almost the same part of the slave trade. You know how much ships sink during that time and they couldn't explain it?
You know, I didn't think about that perspective ever. That would be crazy, actually. That would be crazy to figure out when hurricane season is when there's wooden boats.
When
Probably insane.
all right. So can you imagine how me as an insurance company, can you imagine how high my premium has to be
Yeah.
and how often I have to pay out? Because during the slave trade, there used to be, say for instance, there was a disease outbreak on the plane, on the ship. The captain would give an order to just throw all the slaves overboard.
Into the ocean.
Yeah, because they're insured. And then there would be some slaves that would rather kill themselves. Some slaves would starve themselves. Or there would be a plague and everybody's dying. So there's like, yo, you know what? Let's throw this whole load overboard and collect the insurance from it.
Which is insane.
Financially, that shit not making no money. And then we have to deal with pirates.
So are you comparing the AI system now or the AI industry now to the Industrial Revolution or to the former slave
I am saying that is
marketplace?
how we move it. Like
The progression of now going to AI is like how?
The progression of how we're moving to AI now, in where we're finding you're like, a machine is used to make work easier.
Mm-hmm.
And that is effectively how one of the reasons why the slave trade was abolished and slavery was abolished. Kind of the main reason was financially. Hey, let's cut back. This shit is more profitable.
True.
So I would compare this now to AI, where they're like, this can save lives, make work easier. But at the same time, is that the real reason or more money? Because if I used to I now can fire 100,000 people. This shit is more efficient for my business because I make more money.
Yeah, it is.
So is it that they want to make work easier or they're just trying to make more money? This is just capitalism all over again.
I think it's all capitalism all over again. And I mean, I think you're completely right. I mean, I don't know if you know, but we didn't have the clock system where it's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock before the Industrial Revolution. They created that in order for them to keep track of their workers. Like the system of 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, that didn't exist.
Yeah, 9 to 5 is like, even so, during slavery, why the days of the week is like that. You work a 9 to 5, 9 o'clock, 5 o'clock. You work Monday to Friday. Saturday, you go to the market to sell your goods. That's why a lot of people do shopping. If you realize, a lot of black people specifically, we shop on Saturday. That's embedded in us. Generate, like, Monday to Friday, you're working. And 12 o'clock used to be lunchtime. Why do you think it's 12 o'clock? Because they didn't have clocks. But 12 o'clock is when you can't see a shadow.
Sure.
So you would work until you look down, and when you cannot see a shadow, it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
And sun generally sets around, you normally have to get home before sunset. So when you see the sun start getting closer to sunset, all right, work done. That's literally, and then Sunday, you go to church.
That's true. I'm like, that system, now being from West Africa, I'm like, shoot, all those systems are like time to eat, all those various things. I don't know. I don't think it was as equally as embedded. Because I'm like, Saturday, I remember Saturday was always just cleaning up cartoons and clean up the house.
Yeah, because that's the day when you're not a slave.
True.
Saturday is the day when we clean the house. We go to the market, we shop. Saturday was our day. That's literally what slavery was. Saturday was our day.
I know that the clock and the time system was made during the Industrial Revolution, but I didn't know that lunch breaks was around slavery as well. I didn't know they gave them lunch breaks.
So much of the things that we do are like direct results of how we were treated during slavery. Do you realize like a white person don't care about the day of the week?
Shoot, maybe I'm white.
No, but we've lived in it.
Yeah.
We've lived in it for now. But just think about when you were younger. Like, say for instance, like in Jamaica, we would have specific food that we eat on the days of the week.
But I think that also happens here for all different varied type of Americans. I think the difference is though, that slavery and probably the practices of slavery is just what they impose on the working class now. I think in general.
It just transformed because guess what? It was cheaper to have a working class than slaves.
Yes.
That's the thing. So think about it. In Jamaica,
And more profitable.
In Jamaica, when they abolished slavery, right? They used something called indentured laborers,
Yes.
which is when we got the people from China and India to come to the Caribbean and they work for cheap.
Before there was slavery here, they had indentured servants.
So the Caribbean, we did have the Indians. So before it was the Arawaks, Columbus came, killed off all of them. Then they started find another labor force. Labor force was, black people, slaves. That's how we got to Jamaica. Then when they abolished the slavery, we were allowed to work for money. I think after the abolition of slavery, I think it was 1832. From 1832 to 1838, for 6 years, there was a period of like when, so you're not a slave anymore, but it's mandatory that you come to work. And this was like a small thing, but this was like it's like they're teaching you to be a free man for that 6 years. Then they realize, it's cheaper for me to now just get a man from China and I don't have to pay him I don't have to put him somewhere. I don't have to make sure that him eat. I don't have to make sure that he knows where he's sleeping. I don't have to give him a piece of land to live on. He is his own person because if it used to cost me $200 to make sure that this human being is good, I have to feed him, I have to feed his children, I have to make sure that he sleeps somewhere, I have to give him water, and then I have to take care of this whole being. Or I just give you $5 and then you do whatever you want to do with that $5. I don't care. But it's not costing me more than this $5.
It's far more efficient.
Far more efficient. And now you have to work because you want to take care of your family and keep this because I'm not doing it for you anymore.
It's crazy how so many good things sometimes come out of bad things.
Yeah, like the microwave.
Yeah, I mean, true. Even on the topic of just like the working class, I learned back in the day that the fact that we even have, or the fact that Europe moved from, having this like, level system of society or caste system in a way, and started paying workers was because of the plague.
The plague in Europe?
Yeah. When the plague came through and killed so many people, it didn't discriminate between the ruling class and the lower class. So half of the population was gone now. You couldn't just force everybody to do stuff for you. They had to start paying people.
So that's how people started to get paid.
They had to start paying people to be workers. No, for real. Once the plague came through, same thing happened. And it's just so funny because it's like, at one point, you think that good will encourage good. And, Machiavelli talks about this too, where he's like a revolutionary. Most of the times revolutionaries don't survive. And he uses the example of Moses as like a perfect example of one that did. And he's like, if you don't have money and you don't have weapons, there's no way that you can actually make lasting change, because you have to appeal to people's greed or their fear. Because the truth of the matter is everyone's thinking of personal interest. And even if they're a good person or whatever it is, they need to eat.
How best can I benefit from this?
Yes. And there's a book called what's it called? How to Negotiate with Anyone. And even in that book, it talks about the fact that you shouldn't, even if you owe me money, and I'm coming to you and I need a favor from you, I shouldn't lead off with the fact you owe me money. I should tell you a way you're going to profit from this, how you're going to benefit from it. Because as human beings, we don't care if we owe you or not. We don't care if
something has to be in it for me.
Exactly.
For me to be doing it.
And your self-motivator, your self-driver could be your honor or your self-respect.
And appeal to that.
Yeah, you appeal to that. You have to know what people are really about. And the West is capitalistic to the core, man. It's capitalistic to the core, to the degree where people will spite their own hand to ensure that they can be rich. And I see where you're going in regards to this AI thing. It's efficient. It doesn't really make a difference who it harms right now. And generally, that's how it always goes.
It's who is stand to benefit the most financially from it. That is really what I believe. Yes, it will make work easier, and life will be easier. Remember in the 60s, but humans don't always catch up to that because we are still going to hold on to traditional views. Remember at the time, there was a time when women would stay home and not join the workforce. And now, there are women out there that naturally still want to stay home and don't join the workforce. But then, remember back in those days, women used to have to actually work. It used to be a chore to wash clothes and wash dishes. Now we have a dishwasher.
It's true.
And now we have a dishwasher and a washing machine. She used to have to go outside and pin it on the line. Now there's a dryer. There is something that mops the floor.
All that came after World War II.
All of that happened, bro. War increased technology.
Yeah.
The gunpowder that China created was from war. The slingshots, the bow and arrows, like all of what we're seeing right now is the internet was created by the military for war. And then it trickled down to us.
I have to say, though, the Chinese did not create gunpowder for war. They created it for fireworks. It was the Europeans who took gunpowder.
And did it for war?
And added it to war and put it on ships. And then they ruled the ocean by militarizing ships, which everybody has ships. They didn't do that. The Chinese had ships and gunpowder.
And they didn't do it. I'm going to look into that more. Because I know that they was the first person with the gunpowder. I know the Europeans the first people that made guns.
But if they're the first with gunpowder, you think, the Chinese had the weapons and the means to turn those into weapons. It's just their style and form of warfare was completely different.
Yeah.
Even to the degree, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Opium War, but the English went to China way back in the day and started to secretly sell opium and heroin into China, really to control them. And once the Chinese figured it out, they were like, no, you can't do this no more. Stop selling drugs to our people. And you know what the English did? They declared war on them. What? You're not going to take my drugs? You're not going to let your people get hooked on drugs?
Bro, I don't know, bro. For some reason, something about Europeans, bro, I think it's just embedded in their, like, DNA for like, I don't know if it's for survival or something, but there's just something about them that, because no other race is like that.
Or, I always like because I have my opinions about every single group and things of that nature, but I always like to quote books because I'm like, even the book I'm going to quote was written by a European. And it's called The Rise and Decline of Nations. And in that book, it described Europe as a tiny insular nation or continent in a sense. And I say it to say, in other parts of the world, people didn't have to fight so frequently for the same resources. The longest period Europe has not been in war is the modern day and age. And I don't think it's even been 80 years yet.
Yeah.
Of human history, the longest period they have not been in war is now, and it hasn't even been 80 years. There's many places in the world that have gone thousands of years or hundreds of years without war. Europe has been constantly at war since the dawn of time with them, and it's because they're so close. And Europe is smaller than what it looks like on the map. They amplify Europe. They amplify the U.S. It's way smaller than that. And they've been fighting each other for small, tiny resources to the degree that, the French, the Italian, they all eat different foods, but they're driving distance from each other.
Bro, I can drive. It's from UK to Paris is like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Which is crazy.
I can take a train I took a train from Germany to Belgium. No, I flew from, what did I do? I took a train from Amsterdam to Belgium. I flew from Germany to Amsterdam, probably like an hour and a half. I flew from France to Germany, really close. These are like, bro, it's really close. None of these places are bigger than Texas. None, not one. They're all like, Germany is probably bigger. Germany is very big. I don't think how it looks on the map, Germany is big. But we tend to forget that there's like Denmark had a run in the world affairs and things like that. The Netherlands were the best sailors in the European era. These were all people that were going to Africa and getting resources. And I think when you go there is when you realize how much of an impact that they have on the world. Because when you go there and you see the infrastructure, bro, when you see the infrastructure of something, when you go to like France and you see the infrastructure of France and they're telling you that, yo, it's been like this since 1305. Like, all right. A lot of countries don't have that luxury, bro. That just show how economically advanced these people were.
I think they have a better grasp on preservation more.
Because they just had more money. And they wanted their culture to be the main culture, so they kept it.
You know why the Europeans started going into Africa? It was because of Mensa Musa, the Malian king.
Mm-hmm. Money.
And yes, but I'm challenging more so the thought that they had the most money because they acquired wealth from other areas. Naturally, just sitting there, it's not that. They went to the places of wealth and took it because the people were different. Columbus even has a quote when he first went to Haiti. He said, "These people are so nice, so calm.
Yeah, they just give me everything.
Yeah, with 10 men, we could subdue them all. They will be perfect slaves." Think about that. It's a different perspective. They're in a different. They had been so constantly
at war,
so constantly, in this mentality that in a way, like, I don't even blame them because it's like, you've been facing war so much. When you go somewhere else, you think everyone is like you, but they weren't. And granted, those, as we even said in the earlier thing, like, I think a lot of our people, especially in certain areas, the Native Americans, the Native Caribbeans, things of that nature, were just a bit too kind in their perspective and didn't have enough fear.
Yeah, because they exposed us to something that we never seen before.
Exactly. I mean,
they never seen us before like that, and we've never seen them before.
And they feared us more.
Yeah, they feared us, and then they used the fear. They realized that we would, like, look at Africa. There is no way that they could have just went into Africa, beat up all the Africans, and they needed help from other Africans. There is no way.
They did.
There's no way that you're gonna look at Mutombo, and Napoleon cannot subdue Mutombo.
It's true.
Exactly.
But see, that's too. In the thing is like, how best do I put this? they were in a point of time where their societies, or let's say Louis the 14th age, and like after the Dark Ages in a sense, they're in a day and age where they've developed this like cutthroat level of politics. Kings and queens were killing each other left and right to rule. It was damn near Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they never lived long either.
Yeah, and that being said, it's like their culture just was at a point in time.
I have to kill you to get what I want.
Exactly.
That was how it was.
I got to do what I got to do to survive. And going to places where the rules of engagement are different. Like people always use the quote that Africans help sell slaves of other Africans. But I always like to remind people that our concept of slavery there was different. You were a criminal, you became a slave. You lost the war, you became a slave, but you could win your slavery, your freedom back. You what's it called? Owed money or whatever it is. You went into slavery to pay it off. People were able to keep their religion, their culture, all that, and get out of there. And also, it wasn't that huge of a monetary gain. People were still farming their own lands. They had a slave or two, but they were still doing their work. You know what I'm saying? It was just very different how the culture of slavery became like a commodity once, banking systems and things of that nature got on top of it, and the European mindset came with it as well. Not saying that slavery was ever correct anywhere in the world. It wasn't. But that being said, I don't think the Aztecs whom helped the Spanish when they came, I don't think the Africans in Ghana or Nigeria who worked with the French or the English when they came had that perspective that these people were going to develop such a system.
Well, you can still see that there is a difference, though, because if you look at it from a standpoint of if it took place for 400 years, at some point Africans had to realize that something is off right here.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
And they continued. And when we look at how we are even today, I think that there is a misconception that people try to categorize Africans as just one people.
No,
when we're not. So
we're not.
A Liberian is not a Nigerian.
No.
Like a Ghanaian is not. And there's thousands of different tribes. So
sometimes do not like each other.
Exactly. So there's possibility. That's like just like China and Taiwan. Just think about like a Igbo and a Yoruba. If we don't get along, I don't see you as equal to me. If I catch you, I'm selling you, and they never care about it. To that standpoint, but they did gain from it. But when you look at it from a standpoint, why I would say we are very different is, like, for instance, we would always, like, as a Caribbean person, yes, I'm African. I was sold. I am the direct result of being sold, and we would champion going back to Africa. But I feel like it's kind of one-sided, because I think Africans living in Africa sometimes look at like an African American or a Caribbean person as we are on the better side. Like, we made it out. Like, oh, you guys are, living better than us. And I would beg to differ, because when we compare other races, I've never heard, I think the repatriation is always one side. You barely hear Africans like, hey, come home, come to Africa. Like, you guys are us, come back. Let's build a community. I think we more interested in going to Africa than the people of Africa are interested in us even returning.
See, the first thing you said, I never heard that before. And the reason why I've said that, because most people think we're better than the people abroad, which I'm like, We don't. I mean,
No, you think you're more African. But when I say better, I mean not culturally,
yeah.
but I think people of Africa think we benefit more from the Western world. So like we in Jamaica, like if you weren't born in, say, you couldn't possibly go to a Liberian and they might tell you that you're not Liberian.
Yeah, probably, most likely.
They might say, no, you're not. You know, it's the same thing, but they would probably still look at you and raise you a little bit higher. It could be envy. But they would be like, oh, you're in America, you know, and you're an American.
That has happened,
yeah. And you know, give me some money. You know, because so they look at you as that, but you will probably never be seen as equal to them in terms of true nationalism. You know?
Yeah.
But we see with Jews. Jews are like, yo, if you're Jewish, you're Jewish. Come. I don't care if you're Jewish and born at China, if you're Jewish and born at Australia, it no matter where you're born, you're Jewish. Come.
Not all the Jewish people.
Yeah, but it's a thing.
There is African Jews, and they were never accepted through Zionism.
See, and then that is now start breaking it up in a sect. But if you come from England, if you come from England, there is ways for people to get back together. I feel like Africans, why is it so hard for, there shouldn't be, if I show that my lineage is from Congo, I'm not supposed to need a visa for go there. I'm supposed to go to Congo.
True.
Should be. Because you know, in America, if you have a child right now, and the child is, if you have a child and the child is in Bali, as an American citizen, that child is now an American citizen. And you can get that child here. Only Africa.
In Liberia, if you are, if your father was Liberian, you're a Liberian citizen by law. I mean, there's other countries in Africa that do give you that, but more so if you're, like, if you are from, your heritage comes from there. I think Africa has become very, very welcoming of a lot of
become or
yeah.
is becoming.
Yes, I would say so. It has become and is becoming, but also, you know, it's a very interesting topic in that sense, because I think in the same sense where here's how I actually would break it down, right? A lot of the people who are leaving Africa and coming to the U.S. and things of that nature, they have the education to get a visa. They have the connection pools. They have the resources. So inevitably, they're of the upper middle class, and there really isn't a middle class in most African nations.
So most people that come here from Africa are coming from
a better
decent
class system.
Okay.
Which is also why it's like, I mean, no offense to Mahabasha or Ethiopian people here, but most Ethiopians aren't light-skinned. They're not. Majority of Ethiopians are very dark. The ones that are seen the most in the U.S. are from a certain tribe and a certain group that tends to hover in the upper sector of their society.
Okay, so I'm learning something.
And that being said, which is also why, you know, African immigrants are probably, or I don't know if we still are, we're at a point in time where the second or third highest educated immigrant group. And that's because of what we spoke about before. Education costs money. It's a different perspective about it. And to maintain your class and status, degrees help as well. So the Africans that are coming to the U.S. and the ones that are becoming American in the modern day and age are the ruling class. They are the white people in their nation.
So like LA, there's a bunch of Nigerians. So majority of the Nigerians that I am seeing in LA are, you would say, upper middle class Nigerians.
Of course. They speak English well. They have education. They're here. So
they all got degrees.
They all have degrees. They have a family member that has to be here, which also boosts them in their class system because you have money coming back from abroad. And on top of that, they've made it here and they're working. I mean, of course, there's some that come through refugee camps or refugees or what have you, but that's not the majority of immigrants America accepts. Majority of the immigrants America accepts, there's a requirement for that, which is why, you know, I had a conversation about this one time about how it seems that African immigrants assimilate a little bit quicker in America. And my thing is like, it's obviously because we don't have the stressors that came with slavery. So therefore, if you live in a nation where everyone looks like you, it's no longer a color thing that divides class.
Yeah, we don't have that issue either.
Exactly. So it's not a color thing. And that being said, if you come from the ruling class in Jamaica and you come to America, you're most likely going to kick it with the people you consider more similar to you in that sense. You know, it's a difference. And I think I hear a lot about how, you know, African people are a bit, you know, iffy about Black Americans, but I don't think it's really even that. I think if a lot of Black Americans went back home and lived in their nation, they would realize that the people who are running things and the people who are empowered there would also not like certain actions or behaviors. They wear suits too. You know, they drive Mercedes too. They're very eloquent. They eat nice food. They have drivers, security. They move like the class they're in. And therefore, when we come to the U.S., our parents and things like nature are very afraid of us changing certain things we have embedded in our family system and things of that nature, that because we're aware of the traps the U.S. has already in place to bring not only just Black people, but a lot of their citizens down in order to maintain the disparity between the upper class and the lower class. It's just so happened that these systems affect Black people at a higher rate. You know, one could say conspiracy, one could say it's on purpose, but without having to point a finger at anyone, I point a finger at myself first. It's a system, really, to keep those who are up high, high, and those who are down low, low. We make decisions every single day that keeps us from being up or down.
That's a perfect explanation. And I hope you get it. Because that's always been a thing, you know. Let's say the same thing with Caribbeans, because we're taught to see people as equal. Yeah, I think that really changes. The only time, like, being of another color, sometime, but majority of the time, is really rich or poor.
Exactly.
That's all we know, rich or poor.
Exactly.
And a lot of the times, well, there's difference because there is, I think, the opportunity to come to America in Jamaica, I would say it can be middle class and upper class, but we see there's a lot, it's way easier. So there is a lot of, like, there is more lower class get to come to America.
But
So
probably not more than the upper and middle.
probably not. But the thing is, the upper class in Jamaica tend to live there. They just visit here. That's the difference. They tend to stay there. So they come up, spend some time in Miami, or what they do is the upper class really, you can really tell when somebody is like truly upper class in Jamaica. So here's how they do it. You go to school, and you go to college here, and then you go back home. So a lot of the upper class, they come, you know, they go to I don't know, FAU and Miami, like wherever it is, and then they go FAMU, they go and then they come back. They go to Harvard, Howard University, wherever, and then they go right back to Jamaica.
That's because they haven't made that back home.
Because there is a sector, a system put together, and then the thing is, most time as a lower class person, that's where people come and just don't go back.
Makes sense.
That's when you know, like, you're of a lower class, or like I would say like lower middle, or you're like, all right, I'm coming to America. No, this is an opportunity. Let me know, find other ways to stay here. But majority of the upper class, they're going right back home. They're not. They are visiting America, because why Why come here and be a fourth class citizen when I'm a first class citizen at home?
Yeah, that's how it is with the wealthy Africans. But that's one thing that I think there's certain things that really just need to change in West Africa, Liberia, Nigeria, Ghana. It's happening in Nigeria, and I give them a lot of props for that. And the Ghanaians, they're making strides too. Liberia has a lot to change, but that being said, people need to go back. People need to stay home and help develop the place, develop the country. But that's only going to be the case if certain things change, especially property rights. And that's one thing I've come to find.
But you can own property in Africa way cheaper.
You can own property, but the rights around property is not secure enough to encourage outside investment or to encourage people to buy up large properties. You can buy acres of land, right? It can be yours. If you dip out for 5 years, somebody will build a house on that land, and you can't do nothing about it. You can try to do something about it. They won't leave. You're going to have to get the government to come or the military, bribe this person, do this. And by the time you turn your back, that person probably want to kill you.
So if I buy a house in Ghana, right? A house in Ghana, 100,000 US. That's a big house. You're telling me if I leave for like a year, somebody can build a house on my land, and
it's not impossible and it's not unlikely. Property rights that's another thing about the efficiency of the West is that, laws are set in place, and even if you want to finagle the laws, you have to know them well enough to go around. And whereas in Liberia, even now, my grandfather passed. He left the family a lot of land and things of that nature. Half of that land people have taken up and used and, done what they wanted with it. And that doesn't encourage people to invest to own there, but more so just to invest there, because the government isn't protecting your assets. It isn't protecting your wealth. So you take it elsewhere. That's the thing about, the African man. I think we should really change a great deal. And that is, when the African wants to shop, they go to Europe. When they want healthcare, they go abroad. When they want new cars, they go abroad. When they want better food, they go abroad.
Because they don't make that.
We need to make it all at home.
Yeah, but I think Europe looks at Africa as raw material, and they would rather not exist than to have Africa be an industrial powerhouse.
Of course.
Because if Africa starts making cars, and what is going to be left for the rest of the world? What else can they? If Africa says, okay, we have the raw materials for all of these things we have all of what you guys use. If we should manufacture this, everybody is starved.
Yeah, and particularly the West Africa is so close to America that if ever it was to gain a military that was dominant enough or start making true strides, they would have to pledge allegiance, or they'll get wiped out quick, very, very quick. Yeah. Matter of fact, during you ever watch the Malcolm X movie? He had this at a point in time in the movie, right after he gets married and he starts opening up temples. He's doing a speech, and he's doing a speech where he's on a podium and he's wearing white, and behind him it's like Liberia, Nigeria, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Ethiopia has Haile Selassie, Liberia has Talbert, and it's just all these. The Burkina Faso's there with Francis, and it's all these leaders that were in power at the time when Malcolm X was doing this thing in the 60s and things of that nature. Africa was so wealthy and powerful at that time. Like, all of the leaders were well-educated men. Matter of fact, the Queen of England came to Ghana and danced with the president of Ghana, and that's the only person she had touched. It was a big deal. She was dancing with a black man, but he was a renowned, respected man. And all of these countries, even Liberia at the time, Liberia was in the top 15 when it comes to like GDP and education. Now it's the third poorest country on earth. Very interesting. And after the 60s, when America realized there was, a possible threat with the civil rights movement, every single major African leader seemed to have suffered a civil war and an assassination. Every single one of them. Every one of them got knocked out.
All the way up to 2011. So we're seeing that even now with the Gaddafi, with what a Burkina Faso guy name. And we're gonna see what's gonna happen because they've been trying.
See, I think, Africa's in an age right now where it's gonna have, because our birth rates aren't like everywhere else, it's been maintaining strong. We will have the largest population of young people in the next 10, 15 years. And the largest consumer population. So I've even seen the Super Bowl have commercials in Africa. Like they're trying to market everything to Africa because the young people are there.
Even what Speed is doing, Speed and
they're smart.
They're all going to Africa, and I think it's changing. I think
it's changing.
When we start seeing industries like, no, there's going to be boxing matches in Africa, like during the 70s, where like Congo, and where we might soon start seeing like even F1, I hear, is probably possibly thinking about doing some things in Africa. So I think the future, it might not be in my lifetime or it might be at the end, but we're going to see where the pendulum swings from European powerhouse, and it's going to be Africans.
It's very possible. And
I think it's going to happen. It's a must.
It will happen if corruption stops. It will happen if people think of their country first, even if corruption doesn't stop.
Corruption
if people have the self-interest of empowering their own people, and which, listen, man, let's be completely correct. How can you steal from people who don't have? At least let them have something first. Build it up, and then you can steal more. I'm not telling you to steal, but I'm like, if you try to be corrupt and really make your money from being corrupt, I mean, at least fatten up the calf first before you eat it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. All I'm saying is, we can't stop all corruption. We can't stop all wrongdoing. I'm just saying to those who it's your personal interest to do wrong, do it a little better, man. Like literally, do it a little better. Jeez, like, come on. Let other people eat. Let the people grow. Let the people develop. Give some education.
Do it a little bit.
Do it a little bit better. I mean, I'm not saying the Middle East has hella corruption, but I feel as if they have their way of doing things, and people ain't mad at it. They have their way of doing things.
Oh, they're mad at it, but I don't live there, so.
I mean, yeah, some people are mad at it, but
yeah, I don't live there.
I don't live there. That's true.
If you had if this was the year that you wanted to visit the Middle East, I would tell you to see what's going on in that area. Check it out. don't just go over there.
Yeah.
Read first. Do your research. People. This was another episode. I really enjoy these episodes. I always feel like I'm learning something. So people. I hope you enjoy the weekend. Watch some TV. Check it out. Oliver, you have anything to say to the people?
Yeah, man. Be aware of what's going on. Please, safeguard yourself. Invest in yourself. And you'll be seeing more of me. My channel's coming up soon.
All right, safe. All right, we're out of here. Boom.